Hi, this is Megan Alexandria, the host of It's All About Becoming, the podcast where we have real conversations about our real lives, and along the way, we are inspired to pursue purpose in its fullness. Don't forget to join me on Tuesday as I drop a mini episode that will be dedicated to building your business. Yes, on Tuesdays, I will be talking about branding and marketing and business tips that will help enhance and maximize your brand potential. Hello, hello, welcome again, welcome. And as you can see from the title, we're going to talk about dating tonight. Dating. So get ready, I have my coffee. I love Dunkin' Donuts. Don't judge me. I love Dunkin' Donuts. So I have my coffee. So get your coffee, whatever it is that you need to have, and let's get into this conversation, okay? So earlier, last week, I want to say, I saw this TikTok video, and in the video, there was three men, and I think the title of the video was Christian Women Are Terrible at Dating. I think that's what it was. But I did a stitch on TikTok with the video where I talked about it. And so if you want to actually see the video, you can go to my TikTok and you'll see it. But I agreed with what he said in the video. And the reason why I agreed is, ladies, hear me out. Hear me out before you guys, come for me and jump down my throat for this. Really just hear me out. So he was basically saying in his video that Christian women were terrible at dating because he said he felt like that Christian women feel like they don't have to do anything as far as when it comes to the process of dating. Because the Bible does say that he who finds a wife finds a good thing, which is a very true statement. He said he specifically said his generation. So I don't know how old he is. So I don't know what generation exactly he was talking about. But he said for his generation and younger, he felt like Christian women feel like they don't have to put any effort or work into the dating process. And here's what I agree with. First, I don't want to just label it as Christian women are terrible at dating. I don't want to label it as that because I really feel like it's men and women who are both terrible. I'm not even going to say terrible because as we talk about this today, we're going to unpack some stuff. So I'm not even going to say that we're terrible at dating. I'm just going to say that maybe we don't know how to date. And because we don't know how to date, dating is terrible. It's a terrible experience for some people. So I want you to tell me in the comments. If you're on YouTube, tell me in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify or Anchor or Amazon Music, leave me a message or even reach out to me at itsallaboutbecoming@gmail.com. I really want to know your dating experience. I want you to rate it between 1 and 10, with 1 being, get somebody else to do it. I'm done. I'm not doing it no more. To 10, I'm actively dating. I'm enjoying it. I want to know the experience. I want to know your experience because, like I said, I don't want to label it to just Christian women are terrible at dating. I think that people in general don't know how to date. And because people don't know how to date, that can make the experience terrible. And so, again, just tell me in the comments because I really want to gauge your dating experience. And even if you're married and you're listening to this, I want to hear from you. I want to hear how your dating experience was, but I want to know how your dating experience was with the person that you married and how it differed from others. And if you're married, Do you guys continue to date? Do you have date night, or is it just you're married and that's it? So I want to hear from the married people as well. But let's get into this. So when I saw that video, I kind of laughed at it a little bit, and I was like, well, he does have a point. But here's how I think about it. Okay, so I'm an 80s baby. And so as an 80s baby, I did grow up in that era of Disney. And I grew up in that era of, we saw all of the princesses. We saw, Cinderella. So there was kind of like this fantasy lingering around us as children of this, man in a, riding on a white horse that would come and be our savior. And I really truly believe that a lot of people grew up with that and took that into relationships of looking at, just someone coming to rescue, coming to save. I really believe a lot of people, have that mindset. And, there are some people who are 80s babies who don't have that mindset. So this is not for everyone. This is for the ones who it's for. So I really believe that us growing up in that era, because I want to speak to the 30 and up crowd, which I'm not 30. So I want to speak to the 30 and up crowd when it comes to dating, and how do you feel your dating experience is, because I truly believe, and if I'm wrong on this, or if you have a different opinion, let me know. I truly believe that your experience in dating as a 20-year-old is obviously going to be different than your experience as a 30-year-old. Okay? Your experience is not going to be the same. 20-year-old you and 30-year-old you have different goals, have different, outlooks on life. You have experienced life more often. So the way that you date as you get older, how does that differ from when you were younger? Like, I know personally from my experience that when I was in my 20s, I dated for fun. And specifically early 20s, like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 even. I dated for fun. I did not date with the intention of getting married. And that was because at that point of my life, I did not believe in marriage. I didn't think that I wanted to get married. But that was also because of the environment I grew up in. And it's not to bash my parents in any way or anything, but I just did not think that I wanted to get married. And it wasn't even based off of my parents, but people I saw around us, relationships that I saw around us. Marriage was not appealing to me. So in my 20s, I had no intentions of getting married. Even when I was around my mid 20s and I gave my life to Christ and I was in church and I was learning about marriage and I was learning about relationships, I realized I still didn't want to get married. It wasn't until I got a little bit older, probably, almost 30, to where I started thinking, okay, I really want to be serious about this, and I want to get married. One of the reasons of that is because I want children. So I do want to be married so that way I can have children with, or at least a child with my husband. So tell me, I want you guys to tell me in the comments your experience as you got older. Single people. Obviously, this is for 30 and up adults who are single. How is your intention of what is your intention of dating after 30? Is it more of a, I'm just dating for companionship, I'm just dating just to get out the house, to make friends? Or is this the thought of marriage, is that just something that's gone away? I've been seeing that lately, even in social media, that the thought of marriage, that people don't want to get married anymore. And so is that true? I'm asking, is that true? Is the thought of marriage, is it dead? And if it is, why is that? Why do you feel that way? And if you don't feel that way, if you are over 30 and you're single and you want to be married, how is your dating experience? Because like I said, I'm sure that the way that we dated in our 20s and and even in our late 20s is way different once you get older. Our outlook is different. Our goals are different. Even in the way that we approach relationships should be different, I would think. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. So about a year, no, not a year ago, year before last, I reached out to a young man who was on my social media. And the reason I reached out to him is because I thought he was attractive. And I thought he was handsome. And I have known him for a while, and he was always someone who was very low key, kept to himself. I never heard anything bad about him. Like, it was, as far as I knew, he was just a general, all around good guy. So I reached out to him. And I asked him if he had a girlfriend. He said no. And so his birthday was coming up, and I asked him if I could take him on a date. I will never forget. It was one night I was like, I want to take you on a date. And the funny thing about this is that he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me at first. Y'all, this man made me send a picture of me to him to make sure that it was me, because he thought someone hacked my page. I was like, no, this is me. Like, we got on the phone and everything after that, and we talked, and he just kept saying, I can't believe, you want to take me out on a date. And I kept thinking, what kind of women has he dealt with that he's finding it odd that a woman wants to take him out on a date? Now, my intention for taking him out on a date was not to, set something long-term, not marriage. I didn't have any of that in mind. I wanted to take him out on a date simply because I thought he was a nice guy. He was handsome, of course, to me. And I wanted to do something nice for him. And every time I saw him, before I even asked him out on the date, every time I saw him, I just always had this feeling. I just wanted to do something nice. Sometimes we go through life and we meet different people, and we don't know exactly why we meet the person. And I think that a lot of times what happens is we'll meet someone, and if you don't understand, if you don't know how to date, or you don't know how to go through that process, when you meet people, you might automatically think, oh, this is the one. This is who I want to be with for life. And that's true for most people. I'm not even gonna say most people. That's true for some people. Sometimes you meet people just because God put them in your path for some specific reason. It's not always because of a relationship. It's not always for a relationship. You never know what it could be, which is why I'm a firm believer that dating is important. Because dating doesn't mean, oh, I'm committing myself to you, right away. It's just me and you right away. But dating is more of, okay, let's have a conversation. Let's get to know each other. Let's get to know each other's backgrounds. Let's get to know each other's goals and desires. And let's get to know each other's outlooks on life to see if we can do life together. And even before you get to that, if we can do life together, I really just want to see what kind of person you are. I really just want to see how, because here's the thing, especially on social media, people can be one way on social media, and then when you meet them, they're completely different. So the dating process is important to get to know, okay, who are you outside of the way that we met? If it was on social media, or if it was on a dating app, or if you met them however you met them, the dating process is really meant to get to know them outside of that fashion. Who are you outside of all of this? So I wanted to know that about this particular young man. I just wanted to know more about him. I wanted to know, just about his life. And even though he is someone who I didn't really know well, but I knew of him. So we go on our date, and because it was his birthday, I got him a birthday gift. I paid for the date because I wanted to treat him. And he just kept saying, like, I can't believe you're doing this, And I asked him, I said, well, do women not do this kind of stuff? And I'm guessing that maybe a lot of women don't do that. They don't treat men for whatever reason. So we go on our date. We have a really great time. He makes me laugh through the whole night. We talk for a few months after that. We date. I will call it, for a few months after that, and then I chose, because I know he's gonna listen to this. I chose to end it, not just end it, but I chose to end it. But I chose to end it because our goals were different at that moment. The goals that we had were different. And so I chose to say, okay, let me pull me out of this situation. Let me pull myself out of this situation. It was nothing negative about him. It's nothing negative about me. And I think that a lot of people don't know how to have that mindset of, sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes you are in someone's life not to be a partner, or a romantic partner. Sometimes you are in someone's life to fulfill some other need, or to be there for something else. I remember conversations that he and I would have, and as I got to know him and I got to know the things and the desires that he wants to do, and I hope and pray that he does fulfill all of those dreams, I was like, wow, there's more to you than what people would see. And so that's what the dating process really is about. At least that's what I think that it is. It's about taking the time to get to know someone outside of who they are to other people, and outside of who they are on their jobs, or in their businesses, who they are on social media. The dating process is meant to really get to know people. So when I saw that video on TikTok, I started thinking, is it really that we're terrible at dating? And I say, or is it that we just don't know how to date? Have we been taught? And I want to hear that from those who are listening. Please leave the comment. Let me know. Were you taught? What did the teaching in your home or in your environment of relationships look like? How did that go? Now, for me, there was not really a teaching about relationships. There wasn't really a teaching about marriage. Like, we weren't taught that. What I was told was to not get pregnant. That's what I was told. I was told to not have sex as a teenager, not have sex and not get pregnant. And this is not to negate or talk down about my parents in any shape, form, or fashion, because I love my parents and I'm very, very appreciative of how I was brought up, because I also, as an adult, came to understand that children do not come with a handbook. So my parents did the best that they could with what they knew and how they knew to do it. And of course, my father was in the military. So because he was in the military, he would go out to sea. And when he would be out to sea, my mom had a really good support system of her friends who would help her with us. So my aunts and my uncles, they were around us. And so I wasn't really taught, even from them. Like, they taught me a lot of things, but there was nothing about, this is how you have a relationship. This is how you have a healthy relationship. This is how you date. That wasn't taught. All of that has been trial and error over the past years, these years of my life. So now that I am at the age that I am, my dating process is way different than, of course, when I was a teenager, or when I was in my 20s, or even when I was 30. The process is dating. Why? Because I now want to date with a purpose. I want to hear from you. Is it that, and don't forget to rate your dating experience. Remember, is it a 1 or a 10? And if it's a 10, I want to hear from you. What makes it a 10? What are you doing differently that other people are not, that you're having a great experience of dating? Everybody has their own definition of dating, and that is part of why you need to have conversations with people before you immediately think, oh, God, is this my husband? Before you ask God, is this my husband? You need to have a conversation with that man about his mindset. Okay? So let me know in the comments, because I really think that this is a good topic. And I think that it's something that we need to talk about more, because relationships is something that is kind of broken in society right now. We are in a society where it's so easy to dismiss people and walk away from people, and we're so easily offended, and we're so easily, to just turn people off. And it's I always wonder why that is. I don't believe we were created to be that way. I do not believe God created us to turn our backs on people as fast as we do. There is someone for you. And if you're not dating, how do you expect to find that person? And how is the process? Are you dating in a healthy manner, or are you dating in an unhealthy manner? Now, I've dated in an unhealthy manner before, so I can definitely speak on that. And I've dated in a healthy manner before. So, and the the experiences were very different in each, when I dated in an unhealthy manner and when I dated in a healthy manner. I can tell you right now that dating in a healthy manner, there was a lot more conversations that took place. There was a lot more talking that took place. There was a lot more clarity that took place. But I also realized that even in what I would call the healthy manner, there was healthy confrontation that still needed to take place. And not everyone knows how to deal with confrontation in the dating phase. I know that there are people who will, if they're dating someone and confrontation comes up, they run. They say, "Oh, this ain't it." Confrontation. And I often wonder, how do they think marriage is going to last? Because the vows say for better or for worse. Now that worse is different for every person and for every couple. But the vows do say for better or for worse. And so I've often wondered how the mindset of people who run from confrontation in the dating phase, how are you going to handle confrontation while you're married? I think that healthy confrontation is needed, even in all relationship types, even in your friendships. Confrontation is needed. That doesn't mean that it's an excuse to dismiss the person or that it's an excuse to run away from the relationship. But what I believe confrontation will do in those instances is give you the opportunity to learn how to have healthy conversations with people, and to have healthy conversations about your feelings and about how your emotions and about your expectations and about your standards. I really believe that. And I believe that some of the reason why there are so many people who don't who quote unquote are terrible at dating. I don't think that you're terrible at dating. I just think you don't know how to date, and because you weren't told, you weren't taught how to date. And like most people, if we're not taught something in our home, we get it from our friends, we get it from community, we get it from, social media, we get it from what we see on TV, we get it from the music that we listen to, we get it from the books that we read, we get it from all of these other environments. And I'm not going to say that there is a concrete answer to this, but what I will say is that there's a healthy way to date. I 100% believe there's a healthy way to date. And I believe that your goal for dating will determine of whether or not you are quote unquote a terrible dater. If your goal for dating is to just have fun, then that's your goal for dating. If your goal for dating is for companionship, or if it's for marriage, what, or let me even ask you this. Have you thought about setting a goal when you're dating someone? Or do you just go in it with a I'm just gonna date them mindset? And this is 2023. What kind of dating are we doing? Are we going on, these elaborate dates? Or are we going on coffee dates? Like, there's a lot that goes into this. And I think it's safe to say that those answers are more so for the specific expectations of each person. And those expectations need to be voiced. Now, that I will say, because if you meet someone, or even before you meet someone, if there's someone that you're interested in, and if you're interested in someone, you should be observing them before you even talk to them. You probably are already observing them before you talk to them. So as you are observing them, you should be observing the types of things that they like. You should be observing their lifestyle. If you notice that this is a person who's always going to fine dining everything, and you want to date them, and you don't want to take them to a fine dining restaurant for whatever reason, whatever the reason is, just be mindful of that as you approach them. They could potentially turn you down for that reason. Now, should they turn you down? That's a completely different story for a completely different podcast on a completely different day. But for the purposes of this, as you are observing the people, the person that you are interested in, also be aware of, their mannerisms. Be aware of how their relationships are with other people. Know a lot about how a person will be in a relationship by the relationships that they have around them. I'm a firm believer in that. And people might argue me up and down on that, but it's okay. And if you disagree, hey, leave me a comment, tell me you disagree, tell me why. So look at the relationships around them. How are they managing the relationships around them? I truly believe that you can tell a lot about a person by that, how they manage the relationships that are around them. So this was a good discussion. I like this topic. Relationships is something I love to talk about. So this is something that we are going to talk about more on this podcast. And I want to talk about it from not a new perspective, but a different perspective. And I'm going to talk about it from a healthy perspective. So I'm not going to talk about it from a perspective of bashing men. And I'm not going to do it from a perspective of bashing women, because I'm not doing that either, because I'm a firm believer in, being there, being there for someone, being there for the next woman, because you never know how people deal with things. But I am a believer in having healthy conversations around the dynamics of men and women and relationships, the relationships that we're in. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Please tell me, how, if you are 30 and up and you're single and you're dating, how is your dating experience? 0, nah, you ain't doing it no more. Or 10, it's going for you. It's going great. And if it's going great, what's your outcome? Is it going great because your outcome is marriage and you're with the person that you're going to be with? If your outcome is just for companionship, what's the outcome? I really want to know. And like I said, I don't think that you're terrible at dating. I just think you just don't know how to date. And we're going to have to talk about that on another episode. How do we date in a healthy manner? So thank you for listening tonight. I greatly appreciate all of my listeners and all of the people who have been supporting me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe to everything, and reach out to me at my email, itsallaboutbecoming@gmail.com. Until next time, stay inspired, move in excellence. Bye.